right, so we're going to make a miter saw jig here so that we can cut, in this case, a 70-degree angle, but it'd be like 80, 85, whatever. That saw does go up to 70 degrees, but most saws don't, so I'm going to make this so that I can use it for the people that don't have a saw that goes to 70 degrees. I need it to put a topper on this, so we're going to make one now. It's very simple. I watched a bunch of videos on it, and I'm just going to show you the best design that I think I saw. So you're going to require a piece of 3/4 inch. In this case, I'm using MDF because this is what I have, but you can just use plywood if you have it. MDF is the most stable wood that there is. It's never going to twist, so I don't have to worry about it going out and causing problems. The only issue with MDF, as we all know, is that it gets along with water rather less well than fire and people having issues with gremlins. And which, by the way, is a really stupid concept because there's like water in food and it's always after midnight somewhere. What the hell's up with daylight savings time? You require between 24 inches and 8 inches. So very simple. I'm just going to take this over to the saw. So we're going to measure over 11 inches and we're going to move our saw over to 45 degrees. If you're cutting a bunch of this, you're definitely going to want a dust mask because it's pretty nasty stuff. Just going to take this and we're going to mirror it. And before I cut that, I'm going to cut some 1.5 inch strips off of here just because it's safer than making this piece smaller for no reason. Okay, so there's our two main pieces, and we got 4 strips. Now, if I had a 24-inch piece, I would have been able to get the 6 strips out of it, but this is just a piece I had laying around. The piece I had was only 21 inches, so that's why I need this extra one. I'm just going to leave that for now because I'm not going to cut it at 8. Okay, so how they're going to look on the saw is going to be like this. So we need to screw pieces on these sides here, and then we need pieces in there. Okay, and then we're going to need some pieces for underneath. So we're going to say something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that. I'm going to cut the other side. I'm going to put 45 degrees on this. You don't need to see any of that. You know how to do that, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so here we got all of our pieces cut now. So all I did with these 8-inch pieces was I just put a 45 on there just to make it a little more nice looking. I don't know. So important on this is that we get our boards nice and flat on the edge there. So I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches. I'm just going to get that like that. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get it nice and flat. Then, very important with MDF is that you pre-drill everything because it has no give. Just going to go a little bit deeper with the drill bit here. I was going to put glue on this, but I don't really think it's necessary. The MDF holds it together quite well when you use just regular screws. So, and then just to compensate for the fact that I'm not using the glue, I'm going to put another one in. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to eyeball it. It's just a jig, it's not going anywhere. Doesn't have to impress anybody. These are 1.25 inch deck screws. So you know what, for this, I'm going to put 1.5 in. The reason why I have 1.25 is for the, when we stack like that way we don't go through both of them. But these ones have a lot more meat, so I'll put a little extra in so I don't have to worry about it. Just make sure you drill down far enough to compensate for the length. And do not over torque them or you will strip out the hole. Okay, so this piece here is about 5.5. Well, it's technically 5 3/8. I didn't measure, I just eyeballed it. This, of course, does not need to be precise. Okay, and like I said, this is where we're going to use the 1.25 so it doesn't blast through the top. Okay, now I'm just going to build the other one, and then I'll show you how it works. Okay, so here we have them. I ended up having to move this piece down a little bit just because it was interfering with the saw. So that's how they go. So your piece goes in like this, and in the instance that we're going to be making a 70-degree cut, so we have 45 degrees already, so we need to go another 25 degrees past that, and that's going to give us our 70-degree cut there. So yeah, I'm marking it halfway, so at 3/4 I put a mark there, just so I can get the center of the board. Then I'm going to line it up in here. I'm not cutting anything right now. Just going to line the blade up like that. And then I'm going to clamp the fence in place. Now you got two choices here. If you're worried about getting pulled into the blade, then you can clamp this piece on here. I get it plenty long enough to keep my hands out, and I'm experienced with using a miter saw, so I'm not worried about it. And I'm going to make sure the saw blade is up to full speed, and I'm going to go slow to avoid it having the tendency to want to pull the piece into it, because we don't have a piece back there to stop it. Actually, if you wanted to do that, you could do that. Okay, so that solves that problem. Except that now I'm a little bit off.